2025 was the year of the clone. What's the over-under on how many are gonna be released in 2026? We'll say 500. Do you take the over, more than 500, or less than 500 released in 2026? I think I'm taking the over. Before those 2026s start rolling in though, let's take a look at some from 2025. Yeah! Some of the best, some of the tops, and also a couple that suck balls. I mean, a couple that you should know about. Forgot to say my name. Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Look at this fragrance right here, Throne Eclipse. This is by Maison Asrar. Which honestly, it's kind of sick. Because look at that, it's got the built-in atomizer, baby. Maison Asrar out here cosplaying as Paco Rabanne. Didn't have that on my bingo card. But yeah, check that out. Somebody needs to call a doctor because it looks sick. Spray. Good. This stuff, guys, absolutely rips if you're looking for something that is very sweet, but also spicy, warm, a little bit syrupy. And I'm not sure exactly what this is supposed to be, but it comes across a bit like another hybridization. That's right, the very popular type of fragrance clone, at least here recently, a hybrid, where you take one or more fragrances, you make them kiss, and they have a baby. This one smells most similar off the top to something like Blonde Amber by Clive Christian, which has become extremely popular nowadays to do dupes of, or just extremely popular in general. But then as it dries down, it starts to take on more of like a PDM Altair vibe. So it's like a mix of those two. Really nice pop here, great projection for me, good longevity, very attention grabbing. And like I said, if you're after something that has that melding of sweet and warm, this stuff is lights out. That being said, it is, as of right this moment when I'm filming this video, newer, so maybe a little more difficult to find than some of the other ones that we're gonna talk about here in a second. Let's go with a nice dark looking bottle up next, Kohl Opulence by Arabiyat Prestige. Now this smells similar to another fragrance that has been duped to death, or D2D, and that is Blue Talisman. Yeah, maybe you've heard of it. This is an alternative to that fragrance, but it has a twist. And that twist is kind of like the bottle here. It's a little bit darker. Now it's still nicely fresh and has that typical fruity sweetness that Blue Talisman has, but this one to me has an almost leathery undertone to it. Now there's not officially leather in the no breakdown or anything like that, but when you spray this on, especially as it settles, as it dries, you get this kind of leather vibe in here that you're not gonna find in Blue Talisman. Kind of a slick leather to an extent. It's got pretty solid longevity, lasts a long time, projection is nice as well. This is one of the better alternatives to Blue Talisman out there, as long as you're looking for one that is not an exact one-to-one. A nice little twist of sorts. Let's talk next about this, Shiyaaka Snow by Kohl. Now, if I'm honest, I have always kind of disliked these bottles. I'll tell you why. They look like they're Dunhill Icon bottles if they were put into a hydraulic press and smushed. I mean, you can see the obvious similarity other than the color difference. So they've always had this cheap stock bottle vibe to me, and it doesn't help that for a long time there were a bunch of different brands of different fragrances that you could find at TJ Maxx, Ross's, Marshall's, places like that, where it looked exactly like these, but it was just a different random name on it. And they were like $12. So you see that and it just kind of puts into your head, that's cheap and crappy. But then Kohl made the whole Shiyaaka line and everybody went, oh no, these are cool. Whoa, it's cool now. Atomizer rules though. That's real good. And this one is quite soapy. It smells similar to Louis Vuitton's Meteor, only obviously way cheaper. Now this one has also been hyped quite a bit, hyped to the moon and back. And I have to say, it does get you in that mindset, in that vibe of the Louis Vuitton. Like I said, for much less. But there are a couple drawbacks. The performance is not fantastic. It's okay at best, which you may not care about because again, it's not that expensive. So who cares really? You can spray it on heavy if you want, spray it on multiple times a day. But yeah, the performance is not apocalyptic. And when it comes to clone fragrances, a lot of times that's what people expect, what they want. And as I mentioned, it has more of a soapy vibe to it, especially when you compare it side by side with the Louis Vuitton. So there is going to be a noticeable difference in quality there, which again, you would probably expect. But with a lot of clone fragrances, they actually will smell way higher quality than they're actually, charging for. This one gets a little bit closer to the expectation, I guess. So is it a good alternative to the Louis Vuitton for cheap? Yes. Is it something that's really at the top tier with all the other like absolute best of the best clones out there? No, but you should still know about it. Rayhaan Italia is up next. You know, got a nice little classy looking marble bottle here. And with this fragrance, Rayhaan basically looked around and they saw everybody making dupes of Xerjoff Naxos and they were like, I want to do that too. And then they did. But there is always that issue, that problem when you make a clone fragrance after 2, 3, 4 other versions are already out there. It's kind of hard to stick out, you know, unless it's really terrible or really good, I guess. Then you will stick out for one reason or another. And this one right here is actually really good. Yes, it's good. So it's a little bit of a twist. Initially, it comes across fresher. So it does not lean quite as hard into the more aromatic side. You know, it doesn't have as much of that deeper side of the fragrance coming out initially. Like I said, it's gonna hit you with more brightness, a little more freshness, but as it dries down, it sweetens up really nice, especially the honey. You get more of that coming through here than even the original Naxos. So you get this great smelling sweetness, and in typical Rayhaan fashion, it's pretty strong. Not world-ending strong, but strong enough that it's easily gonna get you noticed and last quite a long time, cut through the cold and fall and winter easily. And it immediately slots in right toward the top of the different Naxos clones out there, which is great because there's another Naxos clone coming up here in a second that is not quite as good for me. Yeah, it's a twist, but a weird one. So if you want Naxos with a little extra freshness off the top and a little extra honey in the base, this stuff. Oh, it's pretty good, bro. The next fragrance is from a massive clone house, and it has a very interesting bottle. But before that one, codes. The JOMASHOP ones have changed, so be aware of that. They change every quarter, and you can use those within the app to save yourself money. And then also have codes for Gift Express, Fragflex, the Perfume Box, Fragrance Lord, and many other stores. So anytime you shop there, use those codes, save yourself some cash. Next fragrance I was talking about, Dunescape by Armaf, which it has sand in there in the cap. You get it because it's a Dunescape right there. No tie-in with the film or novel. Films, ugh. Look, it's even got like little mountains down at the bottom. How intriguing. So Dunescape is very interesting. I've not seen that before, especially in a clone brand's bottle. So they definitely have gone all out here with this. I would hope that this does not have a high failure rate, because then you're gonna have people with sand going everywhere, which I guess is better than glitter. So that's good. So Dunescape, what could this be? Surely something very Middle Eastern, spicy. Perhaps something like LDDM by Tower Perfumes. My God, could you imagine? Armaf goes ahead and they somehow clone that holy grail fragrance, which by the way is fantastic. And then pop that stuff out there in the good old Dunescape bottle? Of course, that's not what happened. This smells similar, hold on to your pants, to Yves Saint Laurent's Y. I guess that makes, no, it doesn't make sense, does it? But that is indeed what's going on here. A little bit of like a Y eau de parfum type of scent vibe, but it's not the exact same as the other ones out there, because you may say, well, Fakar Black, because that's the first thing that popped into my head. I was like, well, you know, Lattafa has one for like 20 bucks or less. Questionable choice. So I did a side-by-side, and they are not the exact same, which I know, big surprise. Fakar Black does come across a little more synthetic, which you would expect, it is cheaper. And Fakar Black does come across with more sweetness. Dunescape here is like trying to put a faint twist on it where it is a little bit more dressed up, which means I suppose you could also find some similarities to other Y fragrances as well, because of course a lot of them are quite similar. You know, Y Eau de Parfum, the original Y Le Parfum, you can draw a pretty close parallel to those two, right? So yeah, Dunescape to me is like a Y fragrance, slightly less bubblegummy sweet, a little bit more of an emphasis on the aromatic side, and a little more dressed up, a little bit classier. And still obviously has that wearability, that compliment factor you would expect from a Y fragrance. And listen, it does smell great. I love the Y line. To be fair, if you hate the Y line, you probably won't like this, but I do like it, so it works for me. It's just one of those like slight disconnects where you see it and you're like, okay, it's gonna be this, and then in actuality, it's this way over here. Let's talk next about French Avenue's Safari Breeze. This is one that to me personally, when I first saw the bottle, I was like, oh, that looks kind of throwaway-ish. What I mean by that is it doesn't look bad necessarily. There's nothing here where I see it, I'm like, oh, it looks terrible. What I do mean though is they put out so many fragrances. French Avenue, Armaf, Lataffa, all these brands, right? And sometimes you can tell when the brand thinks this is really good because they'll give you a bottle where it's like, oh, they spent time on that, right? And then other times they'll give you a bottle where it's just like this. It doesn't look bad, there's nothing wrong with it, but you look at it and you're like, oh, so it's a blue bottle and they put a sticker on the front and then put like a little faux leather tassel and called it a day. And so mentally you'll just be like, oh, it's probably just like a so-so kind of deal that they, I don't really care too much about. But this stuff is actually super addictive as long as you like tropical fragrances. Now it smells quite similar to Tales from Zanzibar. That's the fragrance this is inspired by. It's got like a coconut, blackcurrant, grapefruit, guava opening. I don't think guava is an official note, but it is in Tales from Zanzibar. You also have mint in here, a touch of florals, amber as it dries down. Performance is pretty good. I think that women can wear this just as easily as men. And basically it smells like you're having a tropical drink on vacation. That's kind of the vibe here. I love how it comes across. I think it smells fantastic and it is much better than the bottle might have you think. Which, by the way, my front sticker tries to peel off constantly, so it just kind of reinforces in my head even more. It's like, and I have to go, stay on there. It's good now. I pressed down hard. It wants to stay. Remember I was talking about Naxos before and how there's another one? Yeah, it's this one right here. This is Italia Magma Ember Dusk. That's how they say it, Magma Ember Dusk. That's the proper way. You know how like people screw up French pronunciations all the time, which I would never do that. That's the correct American way to say that, even though Australia is not an American brand. I feel like my lore is inaccurate. Magma Ember Dusk, brother. What am I even talking about? It has a cool box. This box I love. It's got like a rubberized feel to it. It has a magnetic cap, a magnetic top. You don't see that very often, especially on a clone brand release to have a magnetic box. Very cool. Unfortunately, the bottle itself, not magnetic, you know, the cap, but whatever. So this one is Naxos. Has an amazing atomizer, as you see right there. Ooh, it's good. But the scent itself, for me, is just not really what I want in a Naxos alternative or Naxos type fragrance. And I'll tell you why. It leans much harder into the floral side of things. And I'm not talking about just like a little bit around the edges. Like this gives you more of a powdery floral nuance to it, or not even a nuance, like a focal point, especially compared to the original or any of the other dupes out there. So while you do get that, you know, sort of lavender and that bit of sweetness that comes across, you know, that honeyed tobacco, it just ends up getting swallowed up by those floral notes, by the powdery nature of the scent, and it gets to be a little bit off-putting to an extent. So I give them points for trying a twist instead of a one-to-one. I give them points for the sick box and the amazing atomizer, but then the fragrance itself, when I smell it, I'm like, not good for me. Check it out, Arabiyat Prestige again with a bottle I hate. This one is called Habib. Now I hate this because it's fuzzy. I don't like fuzzy bottles. I don't want the bottle to be hairy. I don't like it. And I know that's completely a me thing. I know that a lot of people out there just don't care, but I don't know, man. Like when I pick up the bottle, I don't want it to be hairy. Like, please stop. Atomizer check. Ooh, it's good. I think pretty much everything Arabiyat Prestige releases though has really good atomizers. So this is surprisingly Limahl Elixir. I know the name, the bottle, that doesn't really scream that, but that's what it is. It does have a little bit of a twist, so you have pineapple in here, mixes together with citrus off the top, gives you a little bit more of a slightly fresh, a little bit juicier opening compared to the original Limahl Elixir, which of course leans into like lavender, mint, and then honey as it dries down. And this one does still have that warmth, that sweetness you expect from Limahl Elixir. It has that off the top as well. It's just that little twist this has initially with that additional fruit and that kind of like little pop there to grab your attention. Super solid performance, great projection, great longevity. If you already have Limahl Elixir or alternatives and you're like, do I need to get it? Like, is it different enough that it, you know, side by side, you'll go, oh, this is like a completely new thing. No, it is not. But if you don't have one, or you're in the market for one and you want one that has a little additional fruit pop in there, check that out. Rayhaan again, Aquatica. Rayhaan kind of released a whole bunch of stuff right toward the end of the year. They dropped, I feel like 5, maybe even more, right there toward the end of the year. This was one of them, and it's Virgin Island Water by Creed, which is pretty cool because a lot of you will not be aware of this and won't care, and that's cool. But there was a time, man, where everybody wanted Virgin Island Water on the cheap. I've talked about this a couple times, but that was like the hot go-to fragrance. Little bit boozy, tropical, fresh, sweet, you know, it was just really attention grabbing, and Creed being Creed is expensive. And so everybody was like clamoring, like, how do we get this without paying an arm and a leg? And it was set sail St. Bart's for the longest time. Everybody was like, you gotta get that. It's an eau de cologne. It doesn't last very long, but you can get it and it's kind of similar. You can just spray it on real heavy. And I thought like years ago that Virgin Island Water would be cloned to death. That just people would be coming out hitting it hard, but it never really happened. You had Millesime Imperial get cloned up. You know, everybody was doing Millesime Imperial, but Virgin Island Water, for the most part, a lot of people were just like, nah, screw it. Let's make another Aventus clone. How many are there out there now? 15 dozen? What's one more? It'll work. So Aquatica comes out here and it does a bang up job. It gives you that Virgin Island Water feel, that tropical aquatic sweetness, hence the name Aquatica, which is also a water park. I don't know why that matters. It doesn't, I guess. But this is, to date, the best iteration of Virgin Island Water out there. And it would be cool to see some people kind of come back around on that scent profile and be like, oh yeah, it's still good. We're gonna wear it. Last but not least, Rare Reef by Afnan. That reef is rare. This is kind of like a Pacific chill twist. So Louis Vuitton again. Big old blast of fruit off the top. I mean, you got stone fruit in here like apricot, you've got citrus, you've got mint, you have black currant, you got fig. Like, it just smells fantastic. A little bit green, fruity, sweet, aquatic. For this type of scent profile, lasts a long time, projects really well, and is affordable. There's pretty much nothing to hate about this stuff. Which makes me think of one little thing. What do you guys think about different clone brands and how they're approaching their flagship lines? This is what I mean. Rasasi, what's their flagship line? Hawass. Armaf, what's their flagship line? Club de Nuit and Odyssey. What's the flagship line of Lattafa? Assad and Kamra. Afnan, you would say, is maybe 9 p.m. and Supremacy. Then they also have stuff like the rare fragrances and Tarathi and stuff like that. But what is the correct way to go about those lines? Is it the Hawass way where you just release as much stuff as possible one after the other? Or do you prefer like Assad where you get maybe 1, tops 2 per year? Which is the correct way? Or is it something in between? It's just something I've been thinking about because it's obvious, like when you look at the brands, that they have different ideas on how they should approach stuff. So which one is right? That'll do it for me today, guys. These fragrances right here, kind of a little snapshot in time as we head into 2026, where hopefully we get even better stuff this year. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. I'm going to see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.